On this week's episode, are there enough good pieces left for a Lego Movie 2 to work out? Can Apex Legends compete with PUBG and Fortnite? And how action figures are taking center stage? All this and how action figures are taking center stage. All this and more as we reach our next stop, the PCC Multiverse. And we're back with another episode of the PCC Multiverse. It's Gerald coming right back at you here from. Oh, this is Gerald. This is Gerald Glassford from Game Source and Pop Culture Cosmos and Game Source. We truly appreciate everyone out there listening to all of our great programs. Forgot my intro, but it wouldn't be a but it wouldn't be a PCC Multiverse without my good friend. He is the Brickmaster of Humanica Media. You got to check out everything that's going on today at humanicamedia.com, Humanica Media on Facebook, YouTube, Instagram, and so much more. And he does weddings too. I just want to let you know. It's my good friend. It is Josh Peterson. What's going on, man? You might have to actually go ahead and maybe get some filming in because a good friend of ours, Eric from Go Brothers Gaming, just announced his engagement. So maybe a little bit of a Humanica Media wedding video coming up.
Ooh, nice. Yeah, gotta do that networking, man. Yeah, I'm in the process of cleaning up the Humanica Media website. So like all these wedding films that I did that I forgot about have been buried in my YouTube channel. I'm trying to like bring them up to the surface, so people could check them out. So
And well, I just want to say, odds say that half of them are divorced already.
yeah, well, I mean, you can't win them all, love is very volatile, so I hear. But I think with the right quality wedding film, it could last forever. You want me to throw some explosions in there? I will. You want to get chased by dinosaurs? That's fine too. If you want a voiceover of our good friend Gerald Glassford, I can throw that in there just as easily. Just let me know. Humanicanmedia.com.
That's right, humanicamedia.com. He actually does do great wedding videos. Got to check it out. And also Humanica Media on Facebook. He actually does have several examples of his videos posted there. You got to check it out today, Humanica Media. But it is going to be a great show we have for you today. We've got the return of Rob McCallum. He is back from the dead. Actually, well, not dead, but he's been busy doing a lot of stuff. But he's got a great big announcement to tell everybody about coming up later in the program about his new documentary and docu-series that he's working on. So he's going to talk a little bit more about that later on in the show. Plus, we're going to be talking about the success or the startup. Plus, we're actually going to be talking about Apex Legends, the new Titanfall based type deal, free to play game that's out in the wild now from Electronic Arts, from the makers of Titanfall and Titanfall 2, Respawn Entertainment. We're going to talk about how successful their first week was, and if it's something that people need to get into if they're interested in a diversion from PUBG and Fortnite. Plus, also on the back end of the show, we're going to talk about a disappointing cancellation that was done in the movie world with a halt to a pre-production of World War Z. We're going to talk about how this hurts us as movie fans, but also could speak of larger issues within the zombie movie genre. But first, my friend, it's going to be a busy weekend again at the box office. Finally, we get a little bit more action. It's been a little while now since Glass came out that we actually got something really good to talk about when it comes to the movies, as Lego Movie 2 comes out this weekend. Also, as well, What Men Want, that's also coming out. Cold Pursuit with Liam Neeson. The Prodigy, a horror movie, is also coming out. And like I said, we've got a lot of things coming out this weekend, very busy, but it looks like Lego Movie 2 will be taking the weekend. It's projected to do anywhere from $50 to $60 million here domestically. Your thoughts on the Lego Movie 2 coming out, but also I don't want to underestimate What Men Want, because that's actually coming out with strong hopes as well and strong projections by Taraji P. Henson. She's She's actually taking a role over something similar to what we saw many years ago with Mel Gibson with What Women Want. Your thoughts on Lego Movie 2 coming out this weekend? Is it something you're interested in? And do you think this would be a nice continuance of what is it? Uh, what are their names? Miller and oh yeah. If do you think this is a continuation of what directors Lord Miller, who actually have done very well with Spider-Man Into the Spider-Verse after a rocky, I guess, a rocky relationship with Lucasfilm and the Solo project, and they got kicked out there. But they came back strong with with what they were doing in Spider-Man Into the Spider-Verse. And do you think that will continue with Lego Movie 2?
Okay, first of all, with What Men Want, is that the one?
That's
I
correct. With Taraji P. Henson, it's similar to what if people seen the old Mel Gibson film, What
Yeah.
Women Want, this is the exact opposite of that.
Okay, What Women Want was interesting because guys don't really know what women want, that's what made that movie so appealing. And with this one, I've seen the trailers and I've kinda read up on it a little bit. It's not really that much of a mystery what men want though. Like chances are you look at another dude and you're like, "I know what that guy's thinking about." Sometimes it's nothing, but usually it's the same thing that everyone else is thinking about. So I
Don't
don't
ask me
see
what my wife would say.
Donuts. No, I honestly I don't think that this movie's gonna do that well. It's not because it's not maybe it is well written, but I just don't think that trying to piggyback on another, on a film that's over 20 years old, I don't think that that's the right avenue for that. I think that there could be because did you see they're making another Shaft movie too?
Oh yeah, absolutely. I actually posted the video on our
Yeah.
Pop Culture Cosmos Facebook page.
I think it's dangerous to link new movies that could be good to franchises that have been dormant for almost 20 years now. I think that's very dangerous. So I honestly don't see this what men want doing that well. But as for the Lego movie, uh yeah, I think it's gonna do great because there's not a lot of kids movies coming out right now, so it's kind of a good family flick, and, the what's the is Captain Marvel, I think, is the next movie kind of family movie, I guess, coming out, but
No, How to Train Your Dragon
how did
3.
okay, when is that dropping?
That's dropping later this month, and that's going to be a discussion you and I will have for another day because I've already hinted to you exactly how I feel about that series. But
Yeah, and I told you you're
need I
wrong?
digress? Need I
Okay.
digress?
No, but I see this doing well because this is, like it's the right time. It's a good time it's a good movie for families. It's the right time for something like that to come out because there's not really a lot of competition. The first one was good, and this is the Lego Movie 2. This is not like an offshoot. This is not the Lego Batman movie or the Lego Ninjago movie. This is the true sequel to the Lego Movie, which did very well with audiences. So, um, I haven't seen the Lego Movie, so I don't have much to say on that front about what kind of quality it's gonna be, but as for a release date, I think that this is the perfect time for that to come out.
I'm going to tell you right now, I disagree with you on what men want. I think up front it's going to do pretty good. In fact, it's actually projected to do about $20 million domestically, which would match its production budget or thereabouts. That would be actually a pretty good start for the film, and I think it's going to be front loaded for the next couple weeks because I think a lot of people will be going for it as far as a date movie is concerned. It's going to attract ladies to the film. I think a lot of ladies will be going and checking it out, maybe as with a group of friends or whatnot. But I also think it's going to be earmarked for a date movie, not only for this weekend, but obviously for the Valentine's Day weekend as well. So I think it will actually do okay. I don't think it will do leaps and bounds great, but I still think it will actually go ahead and make its money back and maybe even see a small profit out of it, which I think at the end of the day would make the actual production company and also also the film studio very happy. When it
Okay,
comes to Lego Movie 2, what?
I am going to add this to the list of, Gerald is wrong. So when we when it inevitably crashes, I'm just gonna bring this up, okay?
Fair enough, fair enough. We'll see what happens, my friend. We'll see what happens. I'm going to tell you as far as the Lego Movie 2 is concerned, Lego Movie 2, I don't see it earning the same type of returns as the Lego Movie. I know the reviews on it are not quite as strong as the Lego Movie was when it came out, but it is going to be more of the same. From what I'm seeing in the trailers and what I'm seeing on extended footage, it just seems like it's more of the same. I enjoyed the Lego Movie, but I'm worried very much, as I'm going to go probably see the film hopefully in the next few days. I'm worried very much that it's going to be the same thing as Deadpool 2 was for me, as far as instead of the real loud laughter I experienced in the original. That to me is my biggest concern. But I'm not going into it with the same amount of expectations as I did Deadpool 2, because I had a ton of expectations going to see that film, and it for me it fell extremely short of those expectations. Lego Movie 2, I think, will probably be somewhere like, okay, it's an okay movie. I got through it. It's somewhat, it's somewhat entertaining, but then that's all my expectations are of it going in. So if it exceeds that, that makes me more than happy. I don't think the expectations for monetary wise, unless it reaches a new market internationally that the first one didn't, because it didn't do so great outside of the United States. That I think is the issue right there when it comes to the Lego movie, is that if it does reach an international audience much better than the first one, it could actually prove to be the saving grace and facilitate a Lego movie 3 getting made. Lord and Miller are very creative in what they did and what they do. Obviously, like I said, the Spider-Man Into the Spider-Verse and their hands all over that on that film speaks wonders. And obviously, the Lego Movie did very well for them earlier. Unfortunately, Solo was a crash and burn for them. But I will say, Lego Movie 2 looks okay to me, but not more so than any other the big movies that are coming out. Oh,
Did you see my pun there? You saw that?
yes, I saw
Okay,
it.
good, good.
Okay, go ahead. Go ahead. Go ahead.
I was gonna ask, would you say that Miller and Lord are not good at working solo?
Oh,
We're gonna in post. There's gonna be a live studio hype train going on there.
oh my gosh.
Oh yeah,
Oh,
yep.
you make it so much hard. You make it so much harder for me in post. All right. But it is, I guess you're right. It could be like, I don't want to say it's a babysitting movie for per se, but it is something that you can take the kids to. They're going to enjoy it. There hasn't been much out this year so far to date. And like I said, the next movie of its ilk is going to be How to Train Your Dragon 3. So yeah, I guess it could be something that a lot of parents are going to be taking out. And it's about, like I said, and like I said before, 50 to 60 million projected is not too bad of a start. It's right good. It's going to be right around what Glass did it in its first weekend, maybe actually a little bit more so. So if that's the case, then it could be at least a pretty successful movie and facilitate a third movie. But I think it has to do much, much better internationally than what the first one did for it to facilitate another movie in the series and make it a complete trilogy. But I am looking forward to it. I am hopefully going to be checking it out very soon. And I know a lot of other people are interested and excited because it's the first semi big movie that we've had in a while since Glass. In a the first movie we've had semi big in a few weeks since Glass, as Glass has dominated as Glass has been number one the past 3 weeks. So it's going to be a change of the guard here at the box office with Lego Movie 2 coming out very soon. I have much higher expectations for What Men Want than you do. But you know what? That's just me. I just see a trend when it comes to that type of movie. I see that there's going to be enough of following. I think for at least the first 2 weeks after we get through the Valentine's Day period. I think after that it's pretty much touch and go. But I think through the first 7 to 10 days, I think there's going to be a decent following for What Men Want, and I think it will surprise you. And I think you'll be eating some crow here very soon.
You heard it here first on Pop Culture Cosmos.
That's right. That's right. And the PCC Multiverse. But what are your thoughts out there on Lego Movie 2? Are you excited to go see it? Share us your thoughts, popculturecosmos at yahoo.com. Share us your thoughts as well if you're going to go ahead and check out any of the other movies this weekend, including Liam Neeson's Cold Pursuit, The Prodigy, or Tajiri P. Henson's What Men Want. Let us know if you're going to check out that and see if you're going to prove Josh wrong and me right. It's popculturecosmos at yahoo.com. Also, as well, Pop Culture Cosmos, Humanity Media, and Game Source on Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram as well. Well, my friend, want to go ahead and talk about, well, my friend, we're also going to be talking to the folks at Cavalier Audio from CES 2019. I recorded a quick interview with them talking about their great audio products. But before we do, and before we get to our good friend Rob McCallum as well, talking about his upcoming project, I want to talk real quick about the success of EA's new free-to-play game from the folks at Respawn Entertainment, who created the Titanfall series, both 1 and 2, and that's Apex Legends. Your thoughts on Apex Legends, a game which really has gotten a lot of notice and gotten a lot of notoriety as it was literally dropped on us on Monday as a free-to-play game. It's now available on PC, Xbox One, and PlayStation 4. Your thoughts on it? I think it's a combination of several different influences. Most noteworthy is Overwatch and Call of Duty. But your thoughts on Apex Legends now that it's come out this week?
Did you notice that it has a bit of the shading tones from Borderlands? Like, it has that kind of the dark outlines and the more like stencil colors?
Yes, I did. I noted that to Rob in an interview that's going to be airing upcoming sometime next week about it. When he approached me on it, I told him there was an influence of Borderlands as well, as far as that, and also, like I said, Call of Duty. I noted also Fortnite in there as well, as far as taking some bits and pieces from all these. But the major influences I saw, like I said, were from Call of Duty and also Border and Overwatch as well.
Okay, so yeah, no, I completely agree. So this game is weird to me. Okay, so I got a buddy who's playing and he absolutely loves it. He says it's Fortnite for adults, right? So it's more no, I don't want to say realistic, but it's more oriented towards mature gamers, right? So what's weird about this though is it's hard to tell why this game came out because Respawn has been sitting on this for a long time, it sounds like. But I don't know if it's something where because look at the history of Titanfall, right? So Titanfall 1 came out, everybody loved it, right? Is all multiplayer, didn't have to worry about a single player. You buy it, turn it on, play with your friends, and it's it's Call of Duty with mech suits, right? And then so that game was good and it sold a bunch. And then Titanfall 2 comes out, they add the single player component to it. It's critically applauded, but it doesn't
Well,
sell that well.
well, actually, both 1 and 2 did not meet sales expectations. They both undersold. They both sold okay, but okay was something that's literally what they did not want. They wanted something that was going to be their next Battlefield or Battlefront and sell those type of numbers. And unfortunately, neither 1 and 2 met that, even though they both were very critically hailed upon their release.
Right. No, but I mean, they did well enough. Like one did well enough to garner a sequel, or else they wouldn't have bothered with it. So,
Yeah, but it just didn't do like the top 5 type game. It
no,
it,
it's
it
not
was maybe
going
like a
to.
top 20 game.
Right. It's not going to do top five. The top five games are always the same games. You know, your Call of Duty, Battlefields, Madden, FIFA, and whatever else happens to be coming
But
on
that's what the
Xbox.
expectation was, because this comes from the guys who came from that Call of Duty franchise.
Right, that's kind of a ridiculous expectation. But back to what I was saying, Titanfall 2 was critically applauded, but it didn't sell like you were saying. It didn't sell as well as EA was hoping. So I'm wondering if this was something that Respawn has been working on and they've just been sitting on it for a while, or if EA kind of forced them to put this game out. Because from what I understand, it looks like the game is using all the components that have already been built, right? So it's a multiplayer game, but minus the Titans and minus the wall walking. So, um, I'm just curious what the dynamic there was, why they put this game out, but I'm stoked to see that it's doing so well because this, like I mentioned on Sunday's show, I think, or Monday's show, was that this could be a good example going forward of what these bigger gaming like these bigger franchises could do. What if Battlefield saved, they didn't release, because you look at IGN, Polygon, they're all rating the multiplayer games separate of the single player now. So this could go to show, like, what if Battlefield waits to release their battle royale mode as a free to play game later on? How many people jump on that? Same thing with Call of Duty or Halo even. Like, what if Overwatch became, it's already, they don't have a battle royale, but what if Overwatch made something like that and released it free to play? Would that then shut down Fortnite?
I still don't think Fortnite's going to be coming down anytime soon, but there are little chunks, little pieces that are taken out of it that are being pecked away by contenders such as this Blackout and PUBG and so many others that are trying to emulate the success of Fortnite. When it comes to Titanfall, you're right. They had a lot of this already in place. There is still a Titanfall game coming out. It's not a Titanfall 3, but I believe it is projected to be a Titanfall VR game that's going to come out in the not too distant future. Plus, also, they're working on Star Wars Jedi Fallen Order. That was announced at a recent EA shareholders meeting as coming out before the end of 2019. So you've got those on the way that Respawn Entertainment is getting their hands into. But as far as a full-fledged Titanfall 3, that's not on the horizon as of this point. I'm still missing the Titans when I go ahead and delve into the world of Apex Legends, but it's still something that is fast moving, it's very fluid, and it seems to be getting, like you said, the sharp eyes and the experts and the people that are really into FPS shooters, not necessarily the folks who are coming over from Fortnite, because there are some of those, and there are some of those that are saying that they really like it over Fortnite. But it's more, to me, I think it's going to be pulling a lot of people out of Call of Duty Black Ops 4 and also Battlefield 5. I think it's going to draw a lot of people away from those games just as much as it may pull people away from PUBG and Fortnite, because it's more emulating those type of games with its first person shooter outlook, as opposed to maybe the third person behind the third person cartoony type feel of of um, of Fortnite, or even the polygonal look that PUBG has. So I don't know. It looks to me like something that is going to be, picking a little bit away from Fortnite because it is the newest kid on the block. It's garnered over 10 million players in its first 72 hours. So obviously it's off to a great start, but let's see how much it retains its players over the course of a 6-month to 9-month period. So then we can really start asking those questions on if Apex Legends can really sink their teeth into the marketplace and really take a chunk out of the take a piece out of the pie away from PUBG and Fortnite.
Well, here's the thing too. You got to like consider this. Remember, back when Halo was coming out biannually, I want to say, you had people jumping right from Halo to Call of Duty to Battlefield to Medal of Honor. I think was even a thing back then, and then back to Battlefield, back to Call of Duty, back to Halo. I don't think that Fortnite is immune to that type of jump. The thing about Fortnite is that it's free to play and it's something that appeals to people who've never played video games. But what happens when those people get curious about what else is out there? I think that it's only a matter of time before that happens. I don't think Fortnite is immune to the cycle.
No game is, and there's no game trend that is. Remember, we saw the same thing with Gears of War 2. It came out with a horde mode. Everybody did a horde mode, and then everybody was into it, and then all of a sudden it dropped like a rock and became something that a lot of people just stayed away from or shied away from after a point in time. But that took like 2 or 3 years for everybody to come out with their own horde mode before it finally died out. Same thing will go on with the battle royale genre. I mean, at some point, there's going to be something that a lot of people are going to jump onto that they think is better. And yes, Fortnite's reign on top will at some point in time be hedged or drop. I mean, we saw it from World of Warcraft. World of Warcraft was on top for many, many years. And well, as of now, obviously, it's no longer the same thing that it once was. at some point in time, there is going to be an ebb and tide. And at some point in time, there is going to be peaks and valleys when it comes to the video game marketplace with games like Fortnite. I just don't see it's going to be hit really soon. Maybe by the end of the year, we can start talking about it as far as a severe chunk taken out of it. But as of right now, I think it's still got a nice hold, especially the way they change everything up from their season to season, update to update. They recently added earthquakes in Fortnite and made it a little bit more interesting. And they take some things out and they put some other things in. Just they freshen it up constantly, and that's why the game is so appealing to so many players. If Apex Legends learns from that and develops their own style for their own base, then you're right. They could take a big chunk, possibly a big chunk, out of PUBG and Fortnite, but we'll have to wait and see. Like I said, it's for what I've seen so far, it is an enjoyable first step. I wish the Titans were in there, but they're not. But it still looks to me like a very fast-moving, enjoyable game that I think people who already are into Battlefield, Call of Duty, I think they'll swarm to it first, and then you might see the PUBG and Fortnite people in mass come over and give it a try.
Yeah, I think also it's the Titans will be added eventually. I it's just kind of a my guess is that the original drop was just kind of a test to see what people would thought of it, and people are liking it. So there's probably going to be a patch later on where they do add the Titans because that is the one thing that really could bring them above anything Fortnite or PUBG has to offer. So it'd be foolish of them not to do that. But I do have a prediction. So we're talking about the end of Fortnite, much like the end of Counter Strike, right? Counter Strike, Day of Defeat, games like that. Those games, like the popularity of internet cafes, those things all went away when the next generation of consoles came out. So I'm predicting that when the next cycle of consoles comes out, the Xbox, whatever, the Scarlet, I guess they're calling it now, and PS5, if those come out of the gate, they're affordable and they have something that is good, something first party that people love to play. I think that the Fortnite's going to start to you're going to see a decline in people playing it, and that's going to pressure it's shoot who Epic to start working on something else, and maybe that'll put them back Fortnite 2, whatever, that'll put them back on the map. But I'm if the new consoles are really as great as everyone's predicting they're going to be, I see that maybe affecting the number of people playing Fortnite.
They'll just go back to making another version of the Unreal Engine.
They will. Everyone's using Unity and Unreal seem to be the two like powerhouse engines right now.
Oh, there you go. It's no wonder. What are your thoughts out there on? But all I say is this: it's off to a great start. Like I said, 10 million in the first 72 hours, as far as that are playing it, have given it a try, that have made accounts, that are really just into it right now. The game itself is very fast moving, quick. It's interesting. It's fun to watch, and it all makes for a great game that could, over the course of time, be something that a lot of people are getting into and could peck away at the pecking order, could take away and make its climb up the pecking order and be something that Call of Duty's Blackout, Battlefields, whatever Battlefield 5 is doing, plus PUBG and Fortnite and Overwatch, and take a little bite out of each of those and become its own entity that really stands out among the rest when it comes to the multiplayer genre. What are your thoughts out there on Apex Legends? Have you given it a try like so many others have already? What are your thoughts on it? And do you want and what changes or alterations do you want to see coming up for Apex Legends? Share us your thoughts, popculturecosmos at yahoo.com. Also as well, Pop Culture Cosmos, Humanica Media, and Game Source on Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram as well. Well, coming up next, we've got the folks at Cavalier Audio coming up. Coming up next, we got the folks at Cavalier Audio from CES 2019 talking about their awesome audio products. And coming up right after this, we've got Rob McCallum back in the middle of the Cosmic Crossfire talking about his upcoming project. Cannot wait for him to tell you all about it. It's going to be an awesome, awesome thing coming up. He just started working on it, and he's going to tell you about it more coming up next. This is the PCC Multiverse. And we're back to close out the show. This is the PCC Multiverse. This is Gerald coming right back at you here. If you need a listing of where we're at, because we're being played all around the world on radio stations, we're being played on radio stations worldwide, 7 days a week. Check out our listings on Pop Culture Cosmos on Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram. Check it out. You'll see a listing right there. And if you go to our Facebook page, you also get many of our podcast options as well. Josh, I know you got a great thing going on with Humanity Media, so share the goods, my friend. What's going on with Humanity Media?
Just updating the website, man. I honestly have not had time to work on anything. I'm kind of ashamed of that, but things are going to be rolling out here soon. I actually just started shooting some interviews for my little Sega project I'm trying to get done here. So,
Sega.
yes, no, isn't it's more pronounced though, right? It's Sega. Did they say it
Sega.
fast? I don't remember.
Old commercial. You'll have to look it up.
Oh, okay. This is all right. Moving on. Yeah, it was we're filming some interviews right now and I got myself a been buying some more Sega games. Got a original Sega Genesis here, but I found out that you can actually buy those like consoles from stores that have HDMI outputs on. They play all the old Sega games, so that's news to me. So I might invest in one of those. But be on the lookout for that. So that's coming out soon.
All right. Once again, it's Humanity Media. You can also check them out every Tuesday on the Podcast Radio Network. My friend, before we head on out, it's been a great episode. Just want to thank our good friend Rob McCallum for stopping by and telling us all about action figures, the most powerful toy in the universe. And again, if you want any more Q&A on it, as far as any more questions that were answered by Rob, check out our big article that we have on popculturecosmos.com. It's right there for you. And plus, also want to thanks and plus I want to also thank Cavalier Audio for their time that they took during CES 2019 of talking about their awesome audio products. Well, my friend, before we head on out, we got to talk some bad news when it comes to the movie industry. World War Z was going to be in production here. It was in pre-production. It was going to be coming up here in just a little bit as far as filming for the movie. But unfortunately, the sequel to World War Z was canceled by Paramount. I guess over budgetary issues and how much they wanted to go ahead and spend on the movie. The first movie did about $500 million or so worldwide. It's actually Brad Pitt's, I think, highest grossing movie ever. But it leads me to a bigger question I want to ask you that you mentioned here, I think a couple episodes ago, in regards to the zombie genre as a whole, that maybe there's a waning interest in the zombie genre, and maybe films like Zombieland 2 because of where it's at. And we talked about that on our movie preview, being in a weird place, and we don't know if that's going to do well. But I think your words were best when you said you just think that people have lost interest in the zombie genre.
You know, I did say that, and because you look at the cycle of the zombie, right? Like when George A. Romero first made Dawn of the Dead, there was a very niche audience for that movie, right? And everything he made after that as well. You go back, maybe 10 years, and you look at it, how zombies became like a thing, right? With Resident Evil came out, so all the nerds were like making their zombie escape plans. I was amongst them, and everyone's like, "Oh, that's stupid." And it's kind of like how when you're watching a movie and like your mom or sister or wife or whatever walks into the room and they're like, "Oh, this is so dumb," but they can't stop watching the screen. I think that's how zombies became popular. Walking Dead, 28 Days Later, stuff like that. But I honestly do feel like it's run its course. Everyone has indulged the zombie thing and they're wanting something new. And then the kids coming up now aren't part of that movement, right? So they're looking for something else too. And that's why I think that the zombie genre is kind of failing. But that sucks because I did love World War Z. I think that between World War Z and 28 Days Later, like those are my two favorite zombie films of all time. And Danny Boyle did amazing things with 28 Days Later, but with World War Z, from what I understand, poor David Fincher, man, that guy just gets screwed over so much. We won't talk about Alien 3, but it's weird because he did offer to make the movie as like a budget of 127 million, if I remember correctly, but that was like 60 to 70 million under what it was originally budgeted to be made for. So it's confusing that they would cancel it, but I also read something where they're saying that because they committed to 2 or 3 more Mission Impossible movies, they didn't have the funds to really invest in the World War Z franchise, and that's why it got canceled, plus all the delays in the production. But, you're the business movie guy. What are your thoughts on that?
Well, first off, it was a movie that wasn't supposed to work because upon the original release of the trailers, a lot of people were skeptical of the movie because they said, "Oh, well, the zombies move that fast. They don't move like that." Da 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 da. Like people are experts on zombies. They've seen zombies live all the time, I guess. But zombies are supposed to move a certain way or be at a certain speed. But oh, that just doesn't look real. The CGI and da 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 da. But you know what? It was a big hit. It earned a $500 million at the box office and worldwide, and it was something that was not just a domestic but a global hit. And to me, it just seems like to me, and to me as well, it's disappointing because I enjoy the film for what it is. To me, it's a great popcorn flick. I really had a lot of fun watching it. I've seen it several times since. It's always a fun movie to have around, but I think it leads to a bigger issue where there was so many production delays about the story, about David Fincher, was he going to be directing it, about the problems with the first one as well. You remember the production issues with that, as far as the ending having to be changed and all that, and I guess a different director coming in, and a lot of problems with it. And then the second one having even more issues and more delays. They delayed themselves pretty much out of a job when it comes to that. And I think that if they had just stayed on track, the movie came out, I think, in what, 2012, 2013, that if it would have come out in a 2015, 2016 range as far as World War Z2, we would be talking about how it was a fun movie and a fun sequel and all that. But unfortunately, because there were so many delays in the in this production process, that finally, when they got all their i's when they thought they got all their i's dotted and all their t's crossed, and they thought everything was going to go great, Paramount pulled the rug right out from under them because they didn't want to spend enough money. Because like you said, the Mission Impossible series is now a more profitable and a safer bet as far as the series goes right now. So why not put your money behind that horse instead of going ahead in something that hasn't come out in several years, in a genre that is providing declining returns, as we will probably see later on this year when it comes to Zombieland 2. And I think they probably also saw what was going on with The Walking Dead and how it's lost over half of its audience from its peak in just about 3 years. That I think that gave him another warning sign that the zombie genre is dying. There's a little bit of pun there, but unfortunately, it may
Oh,
not be.
hey, I see what you did there.
But it's not going to be reanimated anytime soon. I think there's
Oh,
two of them right there, back to back. But I still think at some point in time there's room for a zombie movie. It just needs to be spaced out as far as the idea, maybe a more novel concept or a novel approach to it. But World War Z2, it had its chance to go ahead and be a good sequel, but it just took too long to get it underway. And I think Paramount got cold feet. And I think you're going to see the same thing with Zombieland 2, where, you know what, if it had come out 3, 4 years ago, I think it would have done very well. 3, 4 years too late, and it's not going to do as well, especially where they put it in the lineup. And I think, just like I said, it's just a sign of what you were talking about, that the zombie genre is as a whole a dying entity.
but poor David Fincher, man, stuck working on Mindhunter for Netflix, so he's not that guy cannot catch a break, man. Honestly, like that makes me so sad. And even his sequel to Girl with the Dragon Tattoo got canceled over at Sony, so that's bums me out, dude. But yeah, I want to see. I
Well, what
would
do you mean
love.
his sequel? Wasn't that the sequel that just came out?
No, no, because remember originally he was supposed because they skipped 2 books. What was the second one called? Was the girl in the hornet's nest? Last?
Okay, the direct book sequel to it.
Yeah, there's because he was attached to the second one, but then they're having issues with Daniel Craig, scheduling with Bond, so that movie also got scrapped, so I wonder how many projects he's been attached to that have been canceled like that.
Wasn't he involved with Uncharted at one time?
He was the original originally supposed to direct the film, but then remember they were having those issues with I think was it Mark Wahlberg who was attached at the time?
At the time, yeah, I think so.
Yeah, that movie's never gonna get off the ground, man, I'm sorry, but,
That would not have been a good fit. I would not have liked that, and
no,
Joe Pesci and Robert De Niro in it, I think, as well, and
oh,
some
no.
point in time, yeah, that
It
would
would've
not
been
for
like
me.
Expendables, that's what that would've come out looking like.
Yeah, yeah. I mean, Ryan Reynolds would have been a good one at the time. Actually, I still think Scott Eastwood, but that's not for another day, for another video game movie conversation. But
Uh,
when it comes right down to it, your final thoughts on World War Z2, unfortunately, being shelved and most likely for good.
I would have loved to see it. I would have loved to see I wanna see World War Z more than I wanna see another Mission Impossible movie. That's my final thought on it, but it yeah, I mean, and we'll see, like, I don't know, I feel like these companies, Paramount especially, needs to stop investing so much in these well-established franchises and take a chance on something for once. I know it's been a while since World War Z came out, but yeah, it had enough hype, like, I still enjoy watching the first one, like, I have it on my, Vudu collection, so, like, I watch it all the time, I love it, it's one of my favorite movies, but, I just wish that there were more things that felt newer, and even if they're sequels to things that have already been made, but just one of them, whereas Mission Impossible, Star Wars, Marvel, all these things have, like, an establishing base of almost 10 movies, so I just wish that there were more people willing to take chances on smaller properties out there, and again, we've had this conversation before, but that's why I think the future of the film industry will be going to the indie makers.
But as long as but as long as you see increasing returns when it comes to the Mission Impossible series, I'm going to tell you right now, if I was in charge of these film companies, what am I going to go with? It's a safer bet that a Mission Impossible sequel, especially coming off the highest returns ever for the series, is going to be a safer bet than something that hasn't worked in so long. Even though I personally myself agree with you 100%, and I would love to see a World War Z2, but unfortunately, due to the almighty dollar, and this one looks like it's going to die. This one looks like it's going to die. Oh, it looks like World War Z is going to die. It looks like World War Z2 is going to die and unfortunately not come back.
Half the time you stumble upon your words. I always think that you're looking for a pun because you kept saying "die." I'm like, he's gonna say "dime." He's gonna say "dime," and you didn't do it. So
I said die. I die, but stop on a dime.
stop on a
Uh,
die. There we go. Hey!
Hey, yeah, but no, unfortunately, this time World War Z2 at this point in time, due to dollars and cents, it looks like it's just going to unfortunately be dead as a project
Would
and
you
not be
say
brought
that
back.
Paramount was afraid that it was going to take a bite out of their finances?
Oh, the puns are flying
You're
left and
over here
right.
all week.
Yes, yes. Please try the veal. What are your thoughts out there on World War Z2 getting canceled? We'd love to hear your thoughts on it. Popculturecosmos at yahoo.com. Also, as well, Pop Culture Cosmos, Humanity Media, and Game Source on Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram as well. And I want to give a big shout out before we head on out and tell everybody a big thank you. Our Anchor, our 1 hour radio edit channel on Anchor has done tremendous in the past few days. We've got some of our highest returns ever on that channel, plus also one of our biggest weeks as well on our Podbean channel. So check that out, Pop Culture Cosmos on Podbean or our Pop Culture Cosmos 1 hour radio edit. If you haven't already, we thank you so much for listening. I'll tell you what, the numbers are coming in bigger and better for us. And we are just so appreciative of everything that you do by listening to us here at the Pop Culture Cosmos. So for Josh Peterson, this is Gerald Glassford. It's another beautiful name paradise right here in the PCC Multiverse. We thank you for listening. And here's hoping you have yourself a great day.